I've seen the changes in you, and I can see myself reconnecting and spending the rest of my life with you, with some of the changes you've done. And that's when it happened, when it started coming around.
Hey, so today I've got with me Will Smith, who's had a great transformation within his marriage, and Will's very gracefully agreed to join us today to share his story with us. So thank you for coming today, Will. And start out like share with us where you were at when you came to us, what was going on in your marriage, and where you're at now, and then we can talk about how you kind of got from where you were to where you are.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Cody. Certainly, I'll share. So where I was at was in a very bad place, like going to his divorce. My wife had enough of my emotional ways of treating her, and it was just separating us apart, and she wanted out of the relationship. And now where I'm at, it has turned completely around where she wants to reconcile and sees a change in me and thinks that all the things that I've done so far has been just great, and she can see herself moving forward with me right now. It's completely changed around.
So she was pretty much out of the marriage. I mean, you came to us. I think it was about October of last year. It's been quite a while actually. So is that right around October of last year?
Yes, indeed. Yes, it was October when I
Yeah.
joined. Yes.
Sure, sure. And she was pretty much out of the marriage at that point. Is that correct?
Yes. We started getting in some, it was around August is when she said
Yeah.
that, she's had enough and she wanted out. And I started looking at things on my own. And of course, I tried begging and all that, and none of that worked. But by the time August, not August, September, October timeframe came around, I found the program. And that is when I really started to dive deep in and find out a lot about myself.
So how quickly, Will, did you start to see things change once you joined us?
So I would say it took about 5 months to see things change, but it was in little snippets. It was like in little steps. It wasn't all at once. And I think for most of us men, we want changes to happen rapidly, but we just can't have that done. We can't control the situation.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I mean, I think that's a great point to bring up. Like a lot of times men whose wives leave them or they're in a very dire situation, they want to know what they can do now to turn this around right now. And sometimes it just takes a little while, right? I mean, like I like to say, like your marriage has died or is dying a death of 1,000 cuts, and it's going to take a thousand band-aids before it gets healed. So was there a point, Will, where you could see that this is moving in the right direction? Now, was there a turning point where you could actually see light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, there were a few points, and there were a couple times when I wanted to have some deep conversations with her. And when I sat down and I spoke with her, I kind of brought to her attention what I saw in myself, which I've never seen before until I dug deeper into myself. And for her, I can see it in her eyes that I finally got it. All the things that she's been seeing before, which I was oblivious to. So it was a couple of those situations when I had those talks with her that I can see that she saw that. And then slowly I saw her started coming around a little bit and talking to me a little bit more and reaching out to me.
So what were some of those aha moments for you, or what were some of those things that you got it? Where were you not getting it? Then finally you got it, and that made like the real difference within the marriage for her.
So one of the things was looking in the mirror and putting myself in her shoes. And once I started writing down the things, going back to all the things she complained about, and I put it down in a note, and then I put myself in her shoes, it was like a light bulb went off. Like, wow, this is what I did to her. All this in certain situations that made me realize I've been treating her wrong the entire time. And I should have been treating her this way. And I was a real, I don't want to use any kind of cuss words, but I was a real DICK about it.
Yeah.
And when I realized that and I brought it to her attention that, oh, I remember this date when I did this. And there was another date when I did this when we were traveling here. And And then she said, yeah, you finally see it. And those was one of those aha moments for me.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And one of the things we say all the time, right, is like never grade your own homework. And a lot of times guys go, well, I'm done that or I'm doing this. And the reality is that they're not doing it at all. And it's very difficult to fix a problem when you don't know that there's the problem there. You don't understand the problem. And to be fair, like let's just give Will his due here. Will show you showed up to all of the coaching calls for a long time there, and you asked the questions and you did the work and you took your medicine, Will. You know, power to you. You know, I remember you and me having some pretty heated conversations, you know, sometimes, and it's like getting to that point. But I think if a man is able to look in the mirror and see himself as he truly is and see himself as his wife is him, if he's able to get to that point, what do you think a man's chances of turning his marriage around are in the typical situation, having been through this process yourself now?
I think it's possible in any situation. I think one of the major things is patience and being humble. Those
Yeah.
are the two things that you have to have it because your wife has so many things built up in her that's so negative towards you, and that's all that she sees because it's been so much built up that she doesn't see any positives anymore. So when she brings those negativity and those all those negative things towards you, you have to be able to just not say anything and not respond to them and just take it because it's things that she has built up that she's never came out and said to you. So by taking it in and understanding it and listening and just agreeing, not just agreeing, but validating her, it makes it a little bit easy for her to open up and give even more. And
Yeah.
for me, that helped a lot.
Yeah. And how long did it take you, Will, before your wife started giving you some positive feedback and going, I can see some changes are being made here. That there's a glint in her eye again.
Yeah. It would have been about 4 months in around January timeframe because I started in October and it was about
Yeah.
January, February that I started seeing little changes here and there. And then when I really saw the changes when I think it was February when she asked me to go away on a long weekend with her. And that was not even in the anywhere in sight when we were going through anything. She didn't want to be around me with anything or go out to like dinner or anything. But then we went away for a long weekend, and that's when I noticed the change. And then for that long weekend where we went away, she sat down and we had a dinner. So I said, "So what exactly did you want to tell me?" And then that's when she came. I said, "I've seen the changes in you, and I can see myself reconnecting and spending the rest of my life with you with some of the changes you've done." And that's when it happened, when it started coming around.
Wow. Yeah, and really here's the thing, right, that I'd like to bring to anybody that's listening to this in your situation. It's like it's gonna happen on her time frame. Like a lot of us, like as men, we're definitely very impatient and we want things to happen super quick. But at the end of the day, she's got a lot of issues she's got to work through as well. It's not like she's been hurt for a long time, right? And she's not gonna just open her arms to come back until some of those issues have been worked through and helping her to do that. So you showed up a lot, Will, like over the last 6 or 7 or 8 months, and you've seen a lot of success stories, but you've also seen men that haven't won their wives back. You haven't reconciled. That it's like let's just be honest. Not everybody gets their wives back, but in order to help people that are in this situation, have you seen some of the characteristics of the men? You've seen the men that are succeeding, and you see how they're approaching it, and then obviously you see the men as well that continue to struggle. Are you seeing any differentiations or any characteristics in the men that are succeeding at this task?
Yeah, I have seen the ones that continuously show up regardless of the fact if their relationship is working or not are the ones who are bettering themselves. And that's what it's all about. It's about bettering yourself.
Yeah.
Leaving the wife and reconciliation with the marriage out of the picture was actually that ideal part because concentrating on yourself is ideal. And that was the toughest part for me was just concentrating on me being a better person to be a better person for my wife and the relationship. Because unless I fix myself, there's no way I'm always going to be better for anything. So some of the men who stop showing up to calls, and they come once every month or two, there's something about slipping back into your old self without listening to some of the other men and what struggles they're going through, or even helping them out because you've been in certain situations. So showing up to the call still, I think, is beneficial, even if you're over the hump, or even if you're still in it, or even if you're in the beginning, because there's always help there somewhere for either yourself or helping someone else.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned earlier on about like seeing the behaviors in yourself and changing those behaviors. So again, like we can't fix what we don't know is broken, right? And what were some of those behaviors, Will, that when you actually came into contact with it and realized, oh my goodness, that's what I'm doing, that's the problem. Well, give us some examples of some of those behaviors if you don't mind, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, yeah, sure, absolutely. So my background is from the Caribbean.
Mm,
Um, Born in Trinidad, but grew up in the U.S. at an early age. So my parents and everyone is from Caribbean. Caribbean background is the male is dominant, very strict, and have their mindset as very macho and have a full of ego. So having that grown up in that mindset, and with my wife being from a different background and how she grew up, is was completely different. And it was some things I never really noticed, that I had this big ego. And I can say one of the things that stuck in my mind, where we were on the airplane, we were traveling, this was years ago. And my wife, I never liked to sit in the middle seat. I always like an aisle because I had surgery on my knee and I had to stretch my right knee out because I can't have it done to the position for a while.
yeah.
She provided the ability. She went ahead and she ordered the seats, but for some reason it became a window seat, which she likes, and a middle seat. So when we got to the airplane, it was like, sorry, I couldn't get an aisle seat for you. So I just like, well, I can't sit here. I got to sit on the. I just went off like that, and she just didn't say a word. She just took the middle seat because she always liked the window, and I just didn't want to sit in the middle because I just didn't like it. But I wasn't thinking about her in that point in time. So one of the things I went back and I said to her, I remember this situation the way I acted. And there was no way I should have acted that way because the flight was only going to be for a couple of hours. I could have just bit the bullet, sit down in the middle of the seat, and say, I know you like the window, and thanks for trying to get the aisle seat. And I can sit there for a couple of hours now and in the middle without a problem. And those was one of those moments that I said to her, I saw how I was, and I shouldn't have been like that. We just came back from vacation a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of our flights, we had like about 6 flights because we were in different places, and some of them I couldn't get the aisle seat, so I sat in the middle because it was only going to be 3 hours here, 5 hours there. So I said, I'll sacrifice myself, and that was the difference between now and then.
Yeah, yeah. Thinking of her now, thinking of
Yes,
yourself then. Is that a fair summary?
that is fair. Yes, yes.
Uh, absolutely. So, what would you give as some advice if a man's listening to this right now and he's in a situation similar to you? Maybe his wife's left, maybe she's threatening to leave, or maybe it's just not a great marriage. What advice would you have to that man that was in your situation right now? If he could listen to just one thing that you would give him, what would that one thing be, Will?
I would say don't give up yet and have a lot of patience. Patience is key,
Hmm.
for this program, for anything else,
Hmm.
and learning how to love yourself. I didn't love myself, and I didn't realize that until being in this program. And I
Hmm.
had to sit back, writing my notes, and then finally look to love myself. And I mentioned this to my wife in one of our deep discussions that I had with her, and I always brought it to her. It's like, you know what? I never really loved myself, and being that way, I never was able to love you. So, men, any man watching this will have to be able to have patience, learn to love themselves, because you can't love anyone else until you love yourself first.
Absolutely, and that's one of the big things that we talk about, right? It's like it's that self-love. How can you love anybody else until you start to how to start to really love yourself. So yeah, I think a lot of men they fall into one of two categories, right? They want that quick fix. They want that, give me the script, give me the tell me what to say, tell me what to do. And the
Yeah. And
reality
one
is it's like Sorry, we'll go.
So one other thing I wanted to input here as well is, um, taking your time, like I said, having the patience, but also working it. And I worked myself in snippets. I did a little bit at a time because
Hmm.
trying to rush it, it does not work. So when I had these serious talks with my wife, with like once every probably 3 or 4 weeks, and
Hmm.
we'd have, I said, can you have time to talk? And we sit down and things I write down and I realize. And when I spoke with her, it was a really deep conversation, half an hour, whatever it was. And it was not all at once because I couldn't actually disperse all the things I wanted to say at once. So I think working in little snippets of time helps out a lot, and just having the patience.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And at the end of the day, we've got to. A lot of guys come to me all the time and go, "Well, how? If I could just say this to my wife, or if I could just get my wife to have this conversation, if I could just bring her in this conversation." And I'm like, "Well, what are you going to say if you do that?" It's like she said no. She said no to what's in front of her right now. And what are you actually going to say? Are you going to bring anything new to the conversation? Are you going to say anything she hasn't heard before? Because we can help you have that conversation, but you only get one or two shots at that, right? You don't get an infinite number of chances. So when, what you're saying there is great. It's like it's not being greedy and having the conversation, it's having something to say when the conversation does eventually show up. And obviously a new person has got to show up in that conversation, right? Well,
Indeed. Exactly. That's exactly. You said it better than I did.
ultimately, if you ever look at my YouTube channel, like I bring this stuff up, and a lot of times guys will go, so I've just got to be a simp. You kind of mentioned it earlier on, right? Like I've got to sort of put my wife's needs first, do this, do that. And it's like a lot of guys will go, so I've just got to be a simp. I've just got to be this. I've just got to be that. And it's like, um, I don't really feel that way, but like as somebody who's been through this process, how do you see it like that? How do you see the that situation?
From what you're stating, it's like some of the men see it as being like a doormat, I guess,
Yeah.
doing that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct. That's
no, I
right.
don't
Yeah.
see it like that because the things that we've brought on our wives, we don't even realize we brought on them.
Mm. Yes.
So, and they never tell us. So we had no idea. And for me and for a lot of guys in the program, it was the same exact thing. We've done things oblivious to what we're doing to our wives, and they hold on to it until for them it becomes an explosion. And that's when we're like, where'd this come from? So now when they come at us, we can't think that, oh, it's all about the negativity. No, we've done so much in the past already that we have to be able to take that now because we have no idea how much trauma we put them through. So being a doormat, if they want to look at it that way, I would say no, but they have to really, really go back deep down and see how much damage they have done to why she's that way.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And to be honest, Will, it's why you've got the results that you've got because you understand the process now a whole lot better. And people go, my wife never forgets. She's still bringing stuff up, and it's like, well, no, a woman does forget. A woman does let stuff go, but she doesn't let it go until it's been resolved. That's the difference. As men, if you and me have a beef, well, we'll just disagree. Like we'll just agree to disagree and go, okay, well, we'll never talk about that again, and it's fine, and we can move on. But women are not like that. Women are not able just to
100%
let
right.
something go. She is able to let it go, but not until it's resolved. And if you say, well, my wife's still holding on from something from 20 years ago or 10 years ago, it's like it's because she hasn't resolved it yet. And hopefully, like once you have those tools and that understanding and you're able to help her release that, then it goes away. And it's like until all of this stuff has been resolved, it's not going to get better. And I think one of the expectations or unrealistic expectations that men have is like it's not that negativity has to be there. Like it has to get better. It has to get worse before it can get better. She's got a lot of hurt and a lot of upset, and you have to create that environment to where she can release all that hurt and pain. And it's going to seem very negative, but unfortunately, it's like it's necessary. And a lot of times, it seems like things are getting worse or we're losing when actually we're winning. Did you experience anything like that, Will?
Oh, yes, 100% when you're talking about it. The first couple months, it was nothing
Yeah.
but negativity. I mean,
Yeah.
everything out of her mouth. I remember because sometimes when she would go to work, I'd go over to the house to watch the dog when she comes home. It was just one thing negative. So I didn't say a word. I just said, try to keep the positive way of myself. Oh, okay, have a nice day. I'm gonna go now. And I just kind of exited myself. But it was negativity every single day for months. And I just didn't say a word back. I let her vent it because I know what she was going through and what I put her through because we got to the point because of me. So I just let it just go. And eventually it tapered off. And it just now I don't even hear anything like that anymore. So yeah, it was tough. Like I said, the patience part has to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I think, from my perspective, where I'm coming from, like I really want to help you and I really want to help men recover their marriage. It's like I think the biggest point of failure that I see in the lack of reconciliation is it's unrealistic expectations going into it. It's like it's thinking it's going to happen too quickly, or it's thinking it's going to happen without the negativity, or it's thinking you're not going to have to do the hard yards. And it's like when you go into a situation and you expect it to be something that it isn't, it's going to happen quicker than you think it's going to happen, or you're going to get to the destination without having to go through the traffic lights. It's like it creates an unrealistic expectation, and so I have you on here, Will, because I love the fact that you did stick in there and you did do the hard yards, and a lot of guys took you 5 months. It'd be wonderful to have you on here and say, hey, I got the result in the first week, or Cody told me to say this, and I said it to my wife and she came back and it's happily ever after. But the reality is it's realistic expectations going into this. And it's like, speak to the fact, like, or speak to the idea that if somebody does come into this with realistic expectations of, hey, this is going to take a little bit of time. This is going to be some hard yards. There is going to be some negativity to go through. What are the chances of success in your mind? Like not only going through this yourself, but you've probably seen hundreds of men now in the same situation. Like I say, you've seen both sides of the coin, winners and losers. What are your thoughts on terms of like your chances of success if you have those realistic expectations versus the chances of success if you come into this going, just give me the magic bullet, give me the script, tell me what I need to say to sort this out?
So the expectations for I would say for me, I had in my mind, I don't know exactly what point in time I did it, but I put in my mind that if things can change for the worse, where she wants to just get out of a relationship and have a divorce, it can also change to the good as well. So I put that
Mm-hmm.
in my mind. Well, it can change, so it can change back. So I just kept on feeding that to myself. And so for the man who thinks that things can change and they can change, it will change for the best for them. The ones who have any doubts and don't think it can change and still has a little bit of insecurities in themselves, it's not really going to work to their favor because I think their wives or women will see right through that they're not this confident man already. And the man that has to be, who loves themselves, who has to be confident. So the ones who think that, yes, I know I'm going to do good, I'm going to change myself, I'm going to be a better man regardless of what happens, those are the ones that's going to succeed.
Let me ask you a question. In your experience now, can you save your marriage without changing yourself?
I absolutely not. No, no. There's no. It was a done deal because of my background and my heritage of my
Yeah.
parents and all that. And it was something that was building and building with my wife that she didn't grow up with that. So she would just say, "Oh, that's just his upbringing." And she just kept on waving it off until it got to a point where it exploded. So no, without changing myself, it would not have been reconciled right now. And that's why I still come because I still have to remind myself, I still have to get better. I still have to work on myself and I can't fall back. Like how you say, I guess when people are on drugs, they go into withdrawal. You
Yeah.
can't go into withdrawal. Yeah.
You got to keep showing up. You got to keep showing up. Exactly right. So obviously there'll be some men watching this that are thinking about maybe getting some help here, and some of those men will be of the opinion that the problem is with my wife. My wife, if I could, I need to change my wife's behavior here, or I need to change my wife's attitude there, or they see the problem being with your wife. What would your advice to those men be that are watching this right now, thinking, well, I'm just watching this, thinking, how can I get the strategy to change my wife because she's the problem?
We, as us men, we all think that. I've thought of it myself because I can pick out so many situations where, like, well, my wife did this and did that. But we, for those men who think that, you have to go back and look at yourself and take out a notebook and write down all the things that upset your wife. And then you go through that and look at it and put yourself in your wife's shoes, and you, they'll see that, well, a lot of it isn't my wife, it's actually me, because she's the one that collected all this bullets from you, really, because you were throwing the bullets at her. And you realize that it's not all the wife. It's I'm not saying that everything is our fault. Of course, the
Yeah.
women do play a part, but we
Yeah.
played a major part to why we are in this situation right now.
That's exactly right. Like that's another misconception I don't want to be out there. I want to clear up is like I don't believe that it's all the man's fault all the time. Your wife is probably as responsible or has at least has some responsibility in this for sure. But at the end of the day, you're not responsible for your wife's behavior. You're responsible for your behavior. You're not responsible for your wife's role in the breakdown. You're responsible for your role in the breakdown. And you're not responsible for fixing your wife. You're responsible for fixing yourself. And it's all about like a lot of times, guys will come in thinking my wife's the problem and I need to fix my wife. And it's like we always bring it back to the man, and it's like you need to work on yourself. You need to sort yourself out. You need to fix yourself. And it's like this is where the magic exists, right? Because we have the ability to change ourselves, and when we change, the marriage changes. And if you come into this thinking, well, I need to change my wife or my wife needs to change, you're probably not going to get the result that you're looking for, I feel. What are your thoughts on that, Will?
Yeah, I mean, I love the way you put it. And in the beginning of the program, I thought like that. It's like, she should be changing as well too. And I thought that. And you're absolutely right. We can't change anybody else. We can't change our wives. We can't change our siblings. We can't change anyone around us, our friends. We can only
Hmm.
change ourselves. And
Hmm.
changing ourselves will actually replicate around us once we
Hmm.
start being a better person. So you're dead on where I was thinking sometimes that I can actually, she should be doing this or why is she doing this? But at the end of the day, we have to take that out of our mind. And I learned to do that with this program was just removing that piece. It wasn't
Hmm.
easy. Of course, that's why it took months. But
Hmm.
once it was done, it became much more clear.
So in that process, Will, of changing yourself, did and not trying to change your wife, did you see your wife's behavior and attitude and everything start to change towards you?
Yes, yes, indeed. Once I just started acting without any negativity, being
Hmm.
more positive towards her, and
Hmm.
always looking at her and just, regardless how in a negative state she was, even if it's from work or something, because there was a lot of times she would come in from work and just be reading that. I was like, oh, okay. And I just stay in my positive mood and just keep on going and move. It's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, or just something like that. And another thing I also did as well is every week I would send her an email because I used to do that in the beginning when we first met. I would just send her
Hmm.
letters or poems or things like that. And that sending her an email every single week actually about intimacy or anything like that helped a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic, man. It's a great story. And is there anything that you'd like to add? I mean, obviously I'm asking questions here. Is there anything that you'd like to share, anything that you'd like to throw into the conversation that's on your mind?
Uh, One thing I would like to throw in was there was something in the program which I thought was pivotal, and it was a statement that you had mentioned about the amount of pain. I'm not sure if it's
Hmm.
verbatim, but it's the amount of pain that we cause our wife over all these years. There's nothing that we can possibly do within the rest of the time period we have in our life that can actually repay that debt. And it was something to that aspect. And it was
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so true, that piece of information. And one of those little sit down talks I had with my wife, I actually brought it up, but in a different way, but pretty much the same way. And she actually had tears in her eyes because she realized I caused so much pain and there's no way I can pay off that debt. So that's one of the things I think that was pivotal for me, and which I loved how
Yeah.
you phrased it, that I like to throw out there.
So I think
And
that's
it's something else I'd like to add. Sorry, something else I'd like to add is that
yeah,
the program is great that you've done. I've never seen anything else like that there out there as well. And I appreciate a lot of the men who are on there who give their opinions and all the coaches. I mean, it's just fantastic.
thank you. Thank you, Will. So I think what you're referring to there, just so everybody knows, is the debt that we have to our wives is so massive that we could never pay it off. But fortunately, there's a button in the woman's heart, the forgiveness button, and that's our hope. It's like if we had to earn our way out of this hole, or if we had to work our way or repay the debt, we're done. Like most of us, or most people that will be this far into this interview watching this, are so far in the hole with their wives, whether they know it or not, that the debt is so great that they'll never be able to pay that off. But the beautiful thing is there is a button in your heart, in your wife's heart, called the forgiveness button, and she can and will forgive that debt if you change. If you can become the man that triggers that forgiveness button, she is willing to erase all of that debt and bring you back to a level playing field. And really, this is about what we do here. It's not about working your way out of the hole. It's about becoming that man and becoming that person your wife can look at and just hit that forgiveness button and go, I want this man in my life again. And I'm willing to hit that button because it's worth doing, because I want this man in my life. And that's what it comes down to. And ultimately, I think my definition of, for me at least, when you're winning this game of being a husband, is like when my wife looked at me at one point and said, I love the man that you're becoming, Cody. And that's really the aspiration that I have for you, Will, and for every man that I work with, and for anyone that's watching this video that we may or may not work with in the future. It's like when your wife looks at you and says, I love the man that you're becoming, that's when you're winning the game of life. That's when you're winning the game of marriage. That's when you know. And the only way that that is ever going to happen is like, you've got to become that man. And if you have that desire, if you have that sincere desire to look at yourself and go, I'm not fulfilling my potential. I'm not the man that I could be. I'm not the man that I want to be. I'm not the man that I once aspired to be. I am a day late and I am a dollar short. Then this is going to be this is going to be a wonderful thing for you, because like you can become that man very quickly. But as you say, Will, it's a lifetime endeavor, right? Like this is a journey that we never cease to. It's something that we have to continue for our entire lives. We can never get to a point and go, I've arrived now, I've got my wife back, I can stop, because the second you do that, it's like it's game over.
Right.
I'm
It's
going to
never ending.
I'm going to give you the floor, brother, for any final comments here. Anything that you'd like to say, anything that you'd like to throw out there. You've got the floor. You got the freedom to say whatever you want, brother.
Sure. So, I would like to say, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, Cody. I mean, you were there from those coaching calls I needed, which was those one-on-one coaching calls to guide me and to let me see things which I couldn't see. And all the other coaches, I think my first coaching call was Alex, and it was great. And for some of the men who has doubts or they're insecure, just learn to love yourself, and things can turn around. Once you put in your mind that things will be good, it will be good. And that goes with anything, not with just marriage, but with your life, your job, anything. Once you turn your mindset into being positive and not failing, so much good opportunities come from that. And that's how I turned my mind, and had friends of ours that my wife would tell her there's no way it's working, and I would go out with her and the husband, and I said, I know it can turn around again. And when it did turn around, she was said to me that you had so much positive things about it. I was looking at you like, this guy, he doesn't know the hurt he's going to get into. And when it turned around, she was like, you saw it. And I was like,
Mm.
yeah, because I had that positive attitude. So having that goes a long way, and the patience. So for any man out there who has any doubts, it does actually truly work. And I would definitely recommend anyone to actually take the program and just stick with it, because it does actually work.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate those kind words. And look, just to wrap this up, the marriage is the tip. One of the things we say, right, is how you do anything is how you do everything. And it is impossible to improve your marriage without every aspect of your life improving. It's impossible. Your marriage does not, it's not a vacuum. It's not something that happens in isolation. And the way your marriage can get better because you can get better. That's the only reason. Your marriage can change because you can change, and that's the only reason it can change. And when you get better and when you change, it's not an isolated event that happens only in the marriage. It's like it's going to impact every area of your life. So thank you, Brother Will. I really, really appreciate you coming out today, giving your time to share your thoughts. And thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. I appreciate it. Anytime.